Welcome back with Patrick and his wife for our cruise around North America and some canoeing. It's great to have you along with us on these latest cruises of Alaska and the series that we did there and other glaciers at the same time. Now moved to a high-rise condo. That's a surprise probably for you and a surprise also for us. So I can help now as a past president prepare you for condo living. The next YouTube video will be helping you to select that condo, and that will give you the freedom to venture into the wilderness and see all the animals. I can then give you the do's and the don'ts of condo life. Okay, we're leaving Vancouver now. We're heading up through Alaska. We'll see how many glaciers we can get up there. I will now insert a mountain from another previous trip, now called Mount Denali. And it's quite surprising, this one is growing again. Next, you're going to see the Hubbard Glacier in the background. This is the one that we were really focusing on as we were coming up here. We covered a lot of it in series 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to learn a lot about glaciers here. You would think we would know an awful lot about glaciers with all the news about shrinking and melting glaciers. But really, that's not really the facts. One of the most common questions that's asked is which glaciers are the biggest in the world. According to the U.S. National Snow and Ice Data Center and the World Glacier Monitoring Services, that's not easily answered. This question is often asked. In 2022, the research highlight of By Nature feels they have the answer, but I'm not sure. One scientific report says that 90% of the glacial ice is in the Antarctic. Another report says 91% of the glacial ice is in the Antarctic, but it's very close. 3 types of glaciers that they recorded is glaciers that extend in continuous sheets moving outward in all directions. They're called sheet ice. Then if you look up and a little bit to the left, you'll see what the mountain glaciers look like. Glaciers that spread out on level ground or on the ocean at the foot of a glaciered region are called pedimont. The glacial ice that you'll find on Antarctica actually accounts for 90% of all the glaciers that we have on Earth, which is 200,000 glaciers. Plus, I've also read about the east side of the Antarctic, which is the biggest part of the glaciers that they have in the Antarctic. And they've said this part of the Antarctic is growing. So that means that of that 90% of ice, they're saying it's getting bigger. Mind you, some of the areas around the edges of Antarctica and the west side is not growing. But the most part of the ice is on the east side. The only continent that doesn't have glaciers on it is Australia, but they got lots of kangaroos. The deepest alpine glacier is Taku Glacier. It's 4,845 feet deep. The Taku Glacier is not cooperating with the scientists. It refuses to melt. The Britannica said that the cause of the fluctuation of the world's glacier cover is still not completely understood. Sometimes it's growing and sometimes it's receding. Glaciers are nourished mainly by snowfall, and they primarily waste away by melting and runoff, or by the breaking off of icebergs, often called calving. Britannica also gives more terms for the glaciers. There's a polar glacier. That's one that's defined as being frozen throughout its whole mass for the whole year. Then there is the subpolar glacier that contains ice below the freezing temperature except for the surface melting in the summer and the basal layer of temperate ice. Then there is the temperate glacier at the melting temperature throughout its mass, but surface freezing occurs in the winter. So when you are actually doing your research and you find that there's all kinds of different biggest glaciers in different places, it just depends what kind of glacier it is. And for the most part, in Greenland and in Antarctica, they're the biggest glaciers. The Department of Geology had said, quote, The question of which glaciers are the largest in the world requires clear definitions and a homogenized global glacier inventory. In fact, a first systemic assessment of this question has only been published by Windengal in 2022, based on the available glacier inventories, unquote. But most of the researchers are saying that the biggest glaciers are in Greenland and especially the Antarctic. Another type of glacier is the glacier complexes, mainly found in the polar regions. The authors of the study conclude that ranking glaciers is highly uncertain and depends on the way the ice is divided, which can be subjective and largely depends on the quality of the available data. This study that I used here was carried out as a joint project by the United States National Snow and Ice Data Center and the World Glacier Monitoring Center. They also used an endless amount of references for their report. The more information I get from Research Center and also from scientists about glaciers, I get to know that I need to do a lot more research. Just the names alone as regards to the different types of glaciers. There is the ice sheets, the ice fields, the ice caps, the alpine glaciers, the valley pediment glaciers, tidewater glaciers, freshwater glaciers, rock glaciers, polar glaciers, and hanging glaciers, and circuit glaciers, and temperate glaciers. It seems like just about all of them would be unique in one way or another, or biggest in one way or another. Now your first question is going to be why is these glaciers red? Well, the iron in the nanosphere will form an iron oxide of hydroids as soon as it comes in contact with the air. But like all the other science, when it comes to glaciers, there's different opinions on some of that as well. This glacier is in the Andes and it grows as much as it melts. This ice field is the world's third largest reserve of fresh water. John Rogers seen this glacier in 1879. The Taku Glacier is said to be the deepest on planet Earth. It's not cooperating with the science that said it's supposed to be melting. Iceland has the most breathtaking sights with their tunnels that go through the glaciers. Although we've been in the Hubbard Glacier in Alaska all along, we've been cruising around different parts of the world looking at various different glaciers. But we get back to the Hubbard Glacier now. Okay, the sound is turned back down again, and some of the sound was probably wind, not all calving of the glaciers. Thank you for coming along with us and looking at all these various different glaciers and some of the research that we've done. We are going to be a break for a little while, but we do plan on doing the Northwest Passage, and we're going to be covering that body of ice as well. So when we get that done, we'll be also coming back on and going back into some of the glaciers. But for a time, we're going to give you a bit of a break. And I said that some of the things that we will be doing to sort of support us on our trips to various areas like that, to get iMovie and also to get some of the history, is we're going to be doing some stuff on our condo here, life in a condo, and what you've got to do to keep your strata fees in line, and also to plus freeing up your life so you're able to get out in the wilderness throughout all of the wilderness and parts of the world that many people will never ever see. So we're going to give you a chance to see it through our cameras. So thank you for being with us, and you'll see us back very soon. Living in a condo lifestyle can be very good, but there's things that you should know about it before getting in that can save you a lot of trouble along the way. We'll show you just a few of the mechanical things that we have in our unit, but there's a lot more, and we'll help you with the preventative maintenance and servicing in the next upcoming series. My wife and I love the wilderness and the nature, And so you imagine how happy we were to get a condo with these animals around us. I'll just show you some of the animals that we have right next to where we're at. Most days we can go out for a walk around the lake and see these animals. These are animals that we've taken picture of right there. Most days we'll see some of them. These are animals and birds that we've watched for about 5 years. We see so many muskrats and turtles I didn't even take a picture of them. In the beginning of April, the osprey come in and set up their nest and have 1 or 2 osprey as well. And then we have a little bit further away, but we often are over there just on the other side of the lake, the sheep. The location is very important. As you see the lake that we have right there. We have our Kelowna Rockets as well, and we are about a block away from where we live, and so we go there. So it's a great place to live, even though we are country people. The next YouTube video will be focusing basically on selecting and picking a condo that will serve your needs well and prepare you also for maintaining and preventative maintenance and looking after your condo and your investment and freeing you up to go after those bucket list things you still have to get off your list. Like the growing Hubbard Glacier you see right now. We'll cover also what type of people do you want to have on your council. The new shining object in condo life is a depreciation report. I tell you, there's a lot you should know about that before you commit yourself. If it's done right, it could be something that could be helpful. If it's done wrong, it can cost you a lot of money and strata fees as well. Many of us have sold a large home, and in my case, I used to restore automobiles also to your shop and much of your stuff that you had. And before us moving to a condo, I spent about 12 years restoring automobiles. And this was a 1955 Chevy that we did right from, as you can see in the pictures there, scrap, to what we got at the end. So you have to have time for that, and so that's what we're planning doing. Making time for us to get out in the wildernesses around the different parts of the world so that we can share it with you as we get a chance to travel into many different remote areas that many of us have not been in yet. You go and move into a strata, so it frees you up to do things like we're doing now out in the wilderness. So you don't want to make any mistakes there. So we're going to cover many of those things that can help you and protect you for your plan in the future. We only live so many years, and that only gives us so many hours. We wonder where do we best put our time in. Can it be cutting grass or cleaning the eave troughs or fixing the sprinkler system? We chose actually getting out into the wilderness and seeing the animals and the nature and the glaciers and all the things you hear about on TV, but you never see in reality. So that's why we moved to the condo, so we'd have time to help us get out in the wilderness. The first AGM is extremely important, as well as the bylaws and the Constitution. So for the next while, we're going to be covering some of the things you should know about strata life, and even things like condensation, which they're known for because of them being so well sealed. But we're going to be going back then, and hopefully the one after that will be the Northwest Passage, where we'll be covering the Arctic. So we're looking forward to having you come along with us to learn about condo life and the Northwest Passage. But soon we'll get you back out into the wilderness to see all the different wild animals they have to offer, the scenery, many of the different waterfalls, as well as the glaciers that we have, as we've been looking at here. And we still got quite a few glaciers to go yet. If you don't want to be a slave to your home for the rest of the years that you have remaining, and you want to get out and see things, we can help you select the right condo and be prepared for condo life from there on, and knock off those things on your bucket list.